Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another top 10 video. Here is the 2022 top 10 comic figure, Marvel Legends figure. So I had a couple of rules. I guess the only rule, actually one rule, I had to have gotten the figure in 2022. That's really my own rule, and these are like just my personal favorites for whatever reason on these figures. I have a bunch here. I know you can't really see them all because they're all just kind of stacked up there. Maybe if I do like this, you can kind of see. Yeah, a bunch of figures. So I have like 7 honorable mentions that just couldn't quite make the top 10. But there were a lot of good comic figures that actually came out this year. So this wasn't actually a super easy list to do. Some of them I think were pretty obvious that could be on here. Yeah, there's just a lot of great things about these figures. And, you know, even the honorable mentions are all really, really good. But let's go ahead and go through the honorable mentions first, and then we'll start the countdown out from number 10 to number 1 Marvel Legend comic figure of 2022. Okay, I present to you my honorable mentions of 2022. So we'll just go through kind of one by one. Vulcan is in the honorable mention simply because he introduces the new base body that is to replace Bucky Cap, which is still being used as revealed with the Dr. Spectrum figure. But Vulcan, it's a very good body, right? And then you actually have Black Panther on my honorable mentions list because it's the best comic Black Panther figure. So it's awesome what they can do with the Vulcan body. You know, the fact that the forearms can be changed for certain characters and things like that really opens up a lot of possibilities. The same, you know, at the calf. So I'm very happy that Vulcan really introduced it. And I think, you know, Hasbro probably thought that, you know, Vulcan would sell probably a lot better. Again, I think it just opens up a lot more possibilities with the new body mold. So that's why Vulcan is in the honorable mentions, as well as the Black Panther figure being such a good figure. So we'll go there. Next up, we're going to do the Quake and Maria Hill figure. So it's really a Quake figure, but then you have the options to remove the gauntlets and change the hands, and it comes with a Maria Hill head sculpt. Very good female figure. You know, we get the updated body with the pinless knees and the pinless elbows, and they're double jointed and a bicep swivel. So a lot of good things. The Quake character is really cool. If you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you know, it was a bit of a different take on Quake, sure. But a solid figure release too, and then the possibility of, you know, having multiple female shield agents or doing Maria Hill specifically was really awesome. So that's why she is in the honorable mentions, just not quite enough to make it into the top 10. Here, Longshot, and I forgot to include the 2 Longshot because there were 2 figures released. One was the retro version, which I think this was the retro version. This was the Mojo World 4-pack exclusive to Hasbro Pulse. So solid figure. My retro one actually had 2 right thighs. The left thigh is not existence, it's another right thigh, so that sucks. I'll have to get that replaced. But it's a really good figure. You know, it's basically all new tooling, all new molds. Ghost Rider, Robbie Reyes would have used some of it, but we're not getting that figure. Or I mean, we'll probably eventually get the figure, not the car. But it was a solid release. I think I really liked it. You know, just the updated body mold. It's nice when we see new things. So, you know, for me, I was a fan. So Longshot in the honorable mentions. Here, the symbiote suit I thought would have been top 10, but there's just been too many other good figures. The year started off great with the retro SpiderMan wave, and this one was like everything that I wanted. Now it may seem a little outdated because he's got pinned knees and pinned elbows, but, you know, we are getting a pinless version from the Renew Your Vows body mold in the Spider-Man and Carnage 2-pack, the VHS Spider-Man the Animated Series. I think it's got cell shading to it, if I'm not mistaken. But we will get an updated version for that, and for that reason, it's going to be an honorable mention. Just there were other better figures. Iron Spider here, awesome figure. The price was a little high. It's deluxe because of these Waldos on there. I don't feel that it's quite deluxe. But it is what it is. The figure looks really good. I have no real complaints on it or anything. I just liked some other figures a little bit more. The whole comic design of the 3 Waldos I always found questionable, why they would do 3 and not 4, because if you do 4, you'd have 8, you know, 8 legs kind of thing like a spider. So why they did 3, I don't know. But it is an awesome figure, and just for me, just didn't quite make the top 10. If you ask me on a different day, he probably would. It's just kind of one of those things. Next on the honorable mentions is Null. For me, I just don't have any real connection to the character. The figure is pretty damn awesome. We get all new mold that will probably never ever get used again. but yeah, I mean, it's cool. I just didn't connect with it too much without really being familiar with the character. So that's why he just doesn't make the top 10 for me. He is the last of the honorable mentions. So now we'll get into the number 10 comic Marvel Legend figure of 2022. Okay, number 10 comes in as the Build-A-Figure Bonebreaker from the Reavers. So the X-Men wave that he came with was okay. I think, you know, a lot of people kind of didn't like a lot of the figures in the wave, but I think can agree that the Bonebreaker figure is pretty damn cool. I love the concept of it. You know, he's a half man, half tank, and then we got that in action figure form. That barrel keeps coming off. But yeah, solid figure. I was very pleased with it. I was happy when it was announced. It was really cool. But it's just different that we get something like this instead of just a standard figure for a Build-A-Figure. So I was very happy with it. So Bonebreaker at number 10. Let's move on to number 9. Oh man, it might just be a repaint, but I mean, we had a new head sculpt. In like the chest is a little bit different, but the proton cannon, so good. The entire presentation of this retro Iron Man figure was just so damn awesome. I had to include it in my number 10. I was very, very, very pleased with it. The figure itself is awesome too. The modular Iron Man figure from the year before was one of my top 10. I don't remember exactly where it had placed, but such a solid release. Very, very, very pleased with it. And the proton cannon is awesome. So that is why he is in the number 9 spot. But now let's move on to the number 8 spot. Okay, so my number 8 figure is the classic Doctor Strange figure that was exclusive to Walmart. I know a lot of folks have put this in their top spot. It is a very, very good figure, but there's just other figures that I liked more than this one. This guy came with a bunch of accessories and everything, and it was really awesome. Plus, it eventually started showing up in stores at a slightly cheaper price even. So, you know, solid figure. You know, I really like it. The cape doesn't come off. The cloak of levitation doesn't come off. That kind of sucks. But it is a really good figure. I like more figures better than this one, so that's why he's not higher up on the list. But now we move on to number 7. Okay, so number 7 is Harold Thor. We've had a few Thor figures over the years, but this one is really damn nice. I mean, we get new molding everywhere for this guy, and he just looks awesome. You know, I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's the Thor from Fortnite, but it is the Harold version of Thor. And it's a solid release. He could be higher, but I just can't get mine to stand for shit anymore. Like, he just doesn't want to stand. The cape is very, you know, is obviously very heavy, so it really gets him to lean back, but it was done really nice. The sculpting, the paintwork, the gradient, red and purple on the cape was awesome. Just a really solid release. I just wish I can get him to stand up a little bit better. And there we go, number 7. Now let's move on to number 6. 2022 was the 20th anniversary of Marvel Legends, started by the Toy Biz, and then moved on to Hasbro in 2008, I think it was. But here we have the Toad figure, which is the, you know, 2 Toad figures that was released. So Series 1 Toad, the very first Marvel Legends series, which wasn't even really like a highly articulated Toad figure. It was kind of you know, had hardly any points of articulation, 5-inch figure, and it was just kind of reused and repainted for that Marvel Legends line. But finally, after 20 years, we get this figure, and it's super articulated and everything. The entire package of this 20th anniversary figures I really liked. We got 2 head sculpts. The articulation on this thing is crazy. The only downfall is we get old-ass arms that have pins when we get pinless knees. So when they mix match it, it's just kind of like, what are they doing? Had he had newer arms, he probably would have been higher up on the list, but as of now, Toad is the number 6 figure, and now let's go on to number 5. Okay, number 5 goes to another Walmart exclusive figure, and this is the retro Spider-Man lizard figure that Unparalleled Universe got to do the first in-hand look at the figure, and ever since then I was like, oh man, I want it. And it took forever for this guy to get shipped out by Walmart, but well worth the wait because it is just an awesome figure. We get new molding everywhere. He's got crazy articulation. He's got the diaphragm. He's got the inverted ab crunch, the double jointed pinless legs, the double jointed pinless arms. He's got a bendy wire tail. Just insane. What an awesome figure. He also had interchangeable head. So such a great release. Really happy with it. Sucks that a retro figure got exclusive to Walmart, because Walmart just sucks, man, especially with their shipping, because they'll never ship out in a box. You can even mark it as a gift and they still may not. But for those of you that were able to get this figure, it is a really good one. If you were not able to get it, man, I hope they find another way to release the figure, because it is just really damn awesome. So that is the number 5 figure. Let's go on to the number 4. Okay, the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man figure is the number 4 figure, but I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit, and I'm going to put in the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends 3-pack Spider-Man figure, because it's the same figure, just, you know, different colors. My opinion, better colors, but again, this was the first appearance of Spider-Man, so it makes sense that he had kind of the more of the dark gray black color. But not only that, this one is definitely going to be cheating, because this isn't a comic figure. This is the Spider-Man the Animated Series retro carded Walmart exclusive figure, which sucks that it was exclusive to Walmart. All kinds of issues with it. But these 3 figures are the same body mold, but slight differences. So between these 2, we get color differences, and then the Animated Series one, we get a different head sculpt. We get different arms too, because the cell shaded. So the Amazing Fantasy and the Amazing Friends 3-pack both have those peg holes in the arm, because of the web wings that came with the Amazing Fantasy. So I don't mind it. I had, even when I had reviewed this figure, I had completely forgotten that, you know, that those peg holes were a thing. So it didn't really affect anything on this figure. The Animated Series one gets longer arms, and now that I look at it, like, that's probably too long. The hands look really big, but I do really like the blue color, and I love the Animated Series. But my number 4 gets shared between these 3 figures. So yeah, awesome figure. But there was a better Spider-Man figure, which brings us on to the number 3 figure. Let's check it out. And number 3 goes to the Renew Your Vows 2-pack Spider-Man. This is the ultra posable. We get the pinless elbows, the pinless knees this time around for the Spider-Man figure. The torso piece is the same with the inverted ab and the diaphragm cut. It is just an awesome figure. We get the drop down hips there. We get the toe articulation, which I don't care for that much, but in fact, it does actually help. This is an awesome Spider-Man figure. I love the Renew Your Vows comic, so it's nice that we get a representation from it. The Spinneret was pretty damn good too. Not top 10 worthy, but definitely awesome. But I absolutely love this Spider-Man figure. And yes, the Amazing Fantasy can get a little bit better range with the hips, not the torso, the hips. But this is an awesome figure, and I can't wait to get a bunch of other repaints and reissues with this body mold. In terms of Spider-Man, we already got a Daredevil with this body, but give me a symbiote suit Spider-Man, because you know in a few years eventually they're definitely going to release that figure on this body. Oh wait, that's coming in the Spider-Man animated series, which I had already just talked about. So that's coming. Other forms of Spider-Man, I'm sure we will get, but I'm definitely loving this figure. It would have been probably my number 1, but there are a couple of other figures that just edged it out a little bit. But at some point in the year, this definitely was going to be my number 1. But let's go ahead and check out number 2 now. Okay, and my number 2 kind of gets shared between it, but if I actually picked one, it would be the single release Mojo. Yes, this one has more paint, and the cabling and everything like that has more color and stuff like that. Yes, it is awesome. Really, really cool. But that shit was in a box set that was super expensive, way overpriced, because it was a 4-pack with a tiny Wolverine. Even as a 4-pack, I think it was a little pricey. So that's the reason. Yes, it's technically a little bit better, but for your money, the single release Mojo is the way to go. This one, we knew the Mojo World pack was going to be coming. We knew that. The single release, we didn't officially know. There were probably rumors and whatnot, but then randomly someone found one at a Target. And if you were lucky enough to find it early at a Target, you got it for $41.99, which was a steal in my opinion. At $55.99, I think it would have been well worth it. It's a gigantic figure. It's huge. There's a lot of different pieces, and it's just crazy detailed and all kinds of things. But for $42, hell yeah. And plus, I used my red card. I got another 5% off of it. Like, you can't go wrong. And I think on Amazon, it may have dropped down to 40-something, but it was definitely below the $55.99. But it is an awesome figure. 2 head sculpts, multiple hands, and just this insane amount of sculpted detail on this thing. solid release. I really like it. So this is really my number 2 pick. Not really this one, but you know, if you have this one, it is a better one. But this is the one that's definitely a little bit cheaper to get, a lot cheaper to get, way cheaper to get. So Mojo comes in at number 2. So the number 1 figure is one that a lot of you guys may not have yet, but again, I got mine in 2022, so it is the number 1 for 2022. Here we go, number 1. The number 1 figure of 2022 comic figure is Spiral from the Retro X-Men wave. Now I know that that wave has not seen a release in the United States yet, but again, my rules, if I got it in 2022, that was really the only rule to include it on the list. And this Spiral figure is just absolutely amazing. The way they did the 6 arms, they're all double jointed pinless. We got bicep swivels on all of them. Her hands are all brand new because she only has 4 fingers, or it's just crazy. This figure is just absolutely amazing. This is like peak of what Hasbro can do with Marvel Legends. Yes, a lot of the figures are not at this level. We know that. It's budgetary, balancing, blah, 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 that consumers don't care about. You know, some of us understand. We don't like it. It's one of those things, there's give and take, right? But a lot of solid figures did release in the year. A lot of duds, sure. A lot of ones that were cool to have the character. Maybe the figure wasn't the greatest. Things like that. But this Spiral figure is just what we see what Hasbro can really do with action figures. And this one is, I think, the prime example of some of the awesome stuff that can be achieved and what they are capable of doing. So Spiral is my number 1 comic Marvel Legends figure of 2022. You guys let me know down in the comments below what you think of my list. How would you rank your top 10 for comic Marvel Legends figures of 2022? And if you guys like this video, please do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already done so, hit the join button to become a channel member and be a part of the MCU Collective, and as always, thank you for watching.